to Wasatch Weekends for this Saturday, September 16th edition. I'm your host, Ben Roof. On today's show, we're talking pets, food, and art. We've got Nuzzles & Co. stopping by, and then we're also going to talk to a nutrition expert, Emily Davis, and we're going to talk to a local artist and tour a local art gallery. But first, a quick local announcement. Today kicks off the 2023 Deer Valley Beer Festival. This one-of-a-kind event features brewers from 12 different breweries across Utah. It's an incredible, one-of-a-kind opportunity with live music, food, and a bunch of family-friendly activities, including scenic chairlift rides. But in order to access the event, you're gonna have to visit Deer Valley and ride up the Silver Lake Express to get to the event. Now, let's take a quick look at today's weather before we get on with the show.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Welcome back to Wasatch Weekends. One of the things we love to do on Saturdays is visit our friends at Nuzzles & Co. And joining us now is McKenna and Smolder. Welcome to the show.
Hi guys, thanks again for having us. It's always a pleasure.
Of course. Well, it's always a great time to see you guys and your adorable friend of the week. So tell us a little bit about who you have with you.
So this is Dr. Smolder Bravestone. He was named after the character on Jumanji, the Rock character, just because he has such a handsome face. We just couldn't say no. So he was found down near the Ute Ouray Reservation living at a post office in a dirt pile and just survived out there. And he came into our clinic to be neutered, and we just couldn't say no, and we brought him up to our adoption center to be adopted into a forever home.
Awesome. Well, he certainly seems like a mellow, smiley boy there. Tell us a little bit about his personality. Have you guys had a whole lot of time to see him interact with other dogs, maybe some cats?
Yeah, for sure. So Dr. Smolder is 6 years old, about is what our vet says. And so he's a little bit older than most of the dogs that come from the Ute Reservation, but he is definitely a people lover, as you can see. Just a whole snuggle bug. He's a lover and just a mellow dog. He's excited to see people and excited to go out, but he doesn't have a whole ton of energy. He has a little bit of arthritis, so he does slow down quite a bit. So if you're looking for just a lovable couch potato, Dr. Smolder is your guy. He likes some dogs, but obviously since he's a little bit slower, the more high energy dogs, he's just a little bit picky about hanging out with. But he's a big fan of mellow dogs, and he's just a big lover.
Oh
Look
my
at
God.
this.
Yeah, I love how he's just burying his head in you every time. It's one of my favorite traits in a dog, is that just like excessive cuddliness. So it seems like with everything that you guys have going on, he's had a bit of an opportunity to like meet some friends and play with some people, but maybe not the best choice if you've got puppies or a bunch of small kids around.
Exactly. So he's short in stature, so he does well with kids that can respect his space, but he does kind of have like an older man energy, just a slightly. So he does slow down a little bit faster, and he doesn't like the super high energy dogs or kids jumping on him. But other than that, he just is a big people person. He loves kids that will just give him loves and hang out with him on the ground. or even go on small little walks around the block.
Does seem
Yeah.
like it might be hard to get stuff done around the house with him about, just demanding pets and attention constantly. Come here, please. I need my ears scratched.
Oh yeah. He's also just a big treat guy. Just give him a bone and he'll be entertained.
Awesome. Is he well trained, or does he have a whole lot of experience with like at least the basic commands and some on leash walking and such?
So he is really well mannered, but he hasn't had a ton of like in-house experience. So we're still finding out more and more about that in him. Because he's been at our rescue ranch most of the time he's been here. He hasn't gone to a foster home yet. So we are still trying to figure out those things about him, and learn exactly how he does in a home. But he is really well mannered here, and so we don't think he'll have too many problems in a home environment. We think he'll adapt super quickly.
Well, so it seems to me like it might be a little bit of a challenge just in general with an older dog like that, somebody who might not have a whole lot of experience being a dog with people coming into a shelter situation. It seems like that training can be a bit of a hurdle sometimes, at least from my outside perspective. Could you tell us a little bit more about how you guys do that with like an older dog who might not have had owners in the past? How do you guys kind of handle training, if you do any?
Yeah. So we have an in-house trainer. Her name is Karen, and she is great. And we do a behavior analysis for any dogs over 6 months, the minute they can come in. And we see how they do with other dogs. We see how they do with cats. And we just test like their basic mannerisms. A lot of times they're a little bit stressed out on that first behavior analysis. So we have to do another one a little bit later down the road, just because it's one of their first times into the rescue and they don't know who Karen is. And it's just like a whole lot of new things right at first. But a lot of them are able to show off exactly what they can do, can show off that they can sit and stay. Smolder does really well on a leash, which we found out. Doesn't do well with cats, but loves to snuggle on the couch, and will almost do about anything for a treat.
He looks like he's such a sweet boy, and I'm sure that whoever brings him home is going to have just the best new companion. So, are you guys
Yeah.
like, is there anywhere that we can come out and see you guys? You guys going to be at Park Silly Market here coming up?
Yes, so we will be at this Park Silly on Sunday from 9 to 12, with some puppies and maybe adult dog or two. And then we also have an adoption event Saturday, and at Second Summit Cider Co. And we're doing an adoption event there. We're doing a fundraiser where there's pickleball, raffle prizes, a whole bunch of vendors. So that one's going to be pretty cool. And then we're also at the Park Silly at the end of the month. That goes all day long. So we're there from 9 in the morning till 5 at night with the dogs, a whole bunch of dogs. So if Smolder is still available for adoption, he will be there.
I can't see how that would be possible, as lovable as he is. But let's dig in a little bit more about that event before I let you go. Tell us a little bit more about what's going on, like how people can go to the event. Where is it?
So Woof the Outdoors is at Second Summit Hard Cider Co. in Salt Lake on Main Street, right over by the front climbing gym. And so it's going to be 21 plus because it is at a cider. And we'll have lots of dogs. We're going to have a bunch of vendors from outdoor brands, Brand Trunk, Wolf Optics, Pingora, a whole bunch of those brands, and some doggy brands as well. Some doggy trainers who are going to be giving away some dog boarding and dog training. So some really cool prizes, and we're really excited about it. We're also going to have some cans that are specifically wrapped like dogs and cats. They're called the Belly Rub Edition and the Catnip Edition, and we're really excited about that because all the proceeds are going to be going to us. So we're really excited to dish out those cans and see what people think.
Well, it sounds like a great time. If anybody's interested in dogs and cats and just making sure that they support such a great organization like Nuzzles & Co., checking out that Second Summit Cider Co. And that's this Saturday?
Yes, so the 16th.
Awesome. And what time does it start?
Right around the corner. So it's from 4 to 10 p.m.
Perfect.
So all day long, the puppies will be there at 7 o'clock from 9 o'clock. They can't stay out nearly as long. They get tired a lot quicker than humans. So they'll be there from 7 to 9 o'clock for some cuddles, and they'll be really excited.
Well, awesome. So make sure to head over to the Second Summit Cider Co. this Saturday to check out Nuzzles & Co. and some of those adorable dogs, and maybe you'll have the opportunity to bring home your own adorable friend. McKenna, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us. It's always a pleasure, and I will see you again next week.
Of course. And thank you too, Smudge. We appreciate you staying still for us.
Oh, yes. He's been such a good boy.
Well,
Bye-bye.
we will be right back with a little bit more show after a short break. Welcome back to the show. With fall on us, the holidays are right around the corner, so we've got Emily Davis joining us, who's going to give us a little bit of tips and tricks on how to make those holiday favorites a little bit healthier.
Welcome back. Right now I'm here once again in our kitchen with Emily Davis of Whole Essentials Nutrition. She is cooking more healthy, delicious food for us with the holiday in mind. Emily, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm excited to dig in. This looks and smells delicious and we haven't even started.
It's probably the herbs that you're smelling. So yeah, today I thought I would share with you a healthified version of some of our Thanksgiving or holiday favorites. So today I'm doing like a paleo style stuffing. Paleo meaning that it doesn't include bread. So that's what I'm sharing
Well,
today.
I'm excited about that since I can't eat bread. So let's get to it. Although sometimes that's the part that we crave and we want.
Yes, and I think, you know, like the conversation I have with a lot of my clients, I do work with a lot of people who need, for various reasons, to eliminate certain foods, bread and gluten being one of them, depending on how you react. If it's that once a year thing that you love and want to have, then have some, right? I mean, you all know your body's best, but yeah, make that decision. But I think as a whole, my thought is like we can make that day a little better, hopefully get people feeling a little better after the meal, while still having really delicious food.
You know, you make an excellent point because we do, if it's something that you just don't eat because you're trying to be healthier, then maybe you can make something like this, still get all the flavor and enjoyment and maybe splurge on something else.
Absolutely.
Or if it makes you feel bad, you can just enjoy the holiday a little better and not have some of the issues that maybe you've had in the past if you've indulged in some of these.
I think so. Yeah. Again, like you all know, you know, your body's best, but I think we can definitely just feel better by like making some adjustments. So yes, this recipe is dairy-free, gluten-free, happens to also be nut-free and soy-free, and I mean lots of things, while focusing and including on some really delicious and flavorful foods. So we're not skimping in any way, I guess is what I'm saying.
But ideal for your holiday table. So
Yeah.
where do we start?
So I have prepped ahead. The recipe that I was using called for butternut squash. I used sweet potato instead, because when I was shopping for this last night, I was looking for a convenient way to get the recipe started, and I wanted something in the produce section that was already peeled and chopped, and they didn't have any butternut squash. They had sweet potato, so that's what I did. So in other words, like it doesn't really matter. You can substitute like the starch that we're using for a couple of different things. So you're gonna roast, start with that and roast, and I've already done that step.
Looks beautiful.
So
looks
yeah,
very delicious.
they got a little too close to the element last
That's
night in the
how I
oven,
like
but that's
it.
okay.
Do you add a little bit of oil before you roast
Yeah,
it?
so all I did, like I said, I got these in the produce section. If you're looking for just a really convenient way to get this started, already cubed and peeled, you're just gonna put about a tablespoon of olive oil with a little bit of salt and pepper. That's it. And then roast on a baking sheet for about somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes is what I did. So. And really, like, once you get that started, then you could do this. And so altogether, this recipe would take about 30, 40 minutes. It'll really come together pretty quickly.
Probably the longest is chopping everything.
Yeah, Yeah, so the other ingredients, just to kind of go over what I've brought. So sweet potato or squash, whatever you choose. I'm using a pork sausage, and you could use a chicken, you could use a turkey sausage. The important thing to me is that there isn't added sugar and added preservatives and lots of different things, and this one doesn't have those.
And we've recently found a vegan sausage that we really like, actually.
Vegan sausage, or keep it out, right? There are options, but today I'm using pork. And then we're gonna do celery, apple, some cranberries. Again, I'm looking for cranberries without any added sugar. It's hard to find. So look at the label. And then the herbs that I'm using, sage, rosemary, and thyme. And I prefer fresh herbs. Yes, you can get away with like just having these dried in your cabinet, because most people do have them, but it's gonna really enhance the flavor by using fresh.
Which is always a good thing.
Yeah, the nutrition and flavor, actually, you're really enhancing. Oh, and then onion, I don't think I mentioned that. So those are the ingredients, really pretty easy to find. I've mentioned a couple of different variations, so that's all we're doing. And so to start, I've turned on the heat and we're just sauteing. I'm using avocado oil because it has a higher smoke point, and I just need like about a tablespoon. So you're gonna turn on the heat and then add your oil, ideally.
And you could use a different type of oil, but you prefer the avocado oil.
I stick to olive, avocado, or coconut. And so for this particular recipe, I would do olive or avocado, yeah. So then we're just gonna saute onion and celery together. We're gonna get that started for a couple minutes before we add the sausage.
And just a couple minutes, that's all it needs. You don't need it to be especially soft or...
So good question. So these are gonna need to cook longest, and so that's why I'm starting with them. So a couple minutes until the onion is translucent, then I'm gonna add the pork, then I'm gonna add the apple and herbs, because those things don't need to be cooked as long, if that makes sense.
I always tend to overcook. I over roast, I over saute, which can be a problem.
Well, and then think like this is gonna then go in the oven, and so yeah, we don't need to cook it more than a couple minutes just to kind of get it going. While that's cooking, I'm going to show you, so with the fresh herbs that we're gonna add later, thank you. So the thyme, you don't really need to do too much to the thyme, and I'm not sure, you can kind of see this. At the end, when we're ready to add this, I'm just gonna pull them off of the
Because you don't want that thick stem, right?
Right, you don't want the stem. So I'm just gonna, like with my fingers, I'll show you later, but I'm just gonna pull those off of the stem. That's all you need to do with this.
Is it a problem if you do get some of the stem in there?
I mean,
You don't
it's gonna
want
be
to,
crunchy.
but, okay, but that's it. It's not.
Yeah, it's not terrible. You can eat it.
Hazardous.
Nope. And then the other two herbs, rosemary and sage, we're going to mince. And so with the sage, I'm gonna pull the leaf off. I need about a teaspoon of each is all. So I'm gonna take about 2 leaves, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do with that in a second.
Do you use a little more if you have dried? Yeah. Or less?
I would actually use, you could get away with less fresh because it's gonna be more potent.
Okay.
Yeah. So as always, depending on what flavor you like, how much you like something, you could use more or less, but start out with about a teaspoon. And then the same thing with the rosemary. I'm gonna like pull it off of the stem, but then it's a lot bigger than the thyme, and so I am going to cut it. So just so you know, that's kind of how you...
So just chop it a little bit so it's
not such a big mouthful of rosemary. Okay, so this looks good to me. And I'm gonna add the sausage. This has just paprika added to it, and like I said, what I'm looking for is no added sugar
So do you read the ingredients on everything?
I sure do.
I'm not surprised, but that's important.
Most questions that people ask me, like I had someone who asked about, oh gosh, what was it? I can't remember. Just yesterday, someone asked me about something, and I said, like a healthy product or something that sounds healthy to people, but isn't always. Like, check the ingredients. You don't know.
You made that point last time you were here, especially with gluten-free and gluten-free bread.
Yeah.
I had no idea, and
Yeah.
now it's trying to find a better substitute.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, lots of processed.
We're going to
stuff.
take a quick break and let the sausage cook. So make sure you don't go anywhere. You want to come back and see exactly how to assemble this delicious dish with Emily Davis. So we'll be right back after this. Welcome back. We are here with Emily Davis. Our sausage is cooked. We are making delicious stuffing for our holiday tables. So what do we need to do next?
So the sausage is cooked. That really just took maybe 8 minutes or so. And then we're going to add the apple and herbs, because just a reminder that those don't need to cook very long at all. And so that's your final step before you put everything together. So this was a pretty big apple. I've just used half of it. You could use more, but you can just kind of see I've chopped it up.
What type of apple? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. This happens to be a Honeycrisp, but yeah, the short answer is it doesn't matter. I think the Honeycrisp are a little bit more flavorful and sweet, and I definitely do like the contrast of the salty and fatty and sweet, so that's just my preference. But so we're just gonna add it to the sausage. And yeah, to me it looks like that's plenty. I wouldn't do more. Like I said, that's just half the apple. And then the herbs, you can kind of see I've just minced the rosemary and sage, and then we're gonna add in the thyme just from I don't know what to call it. Off the stem. I don't need to cut that one. I don't know how to say it.
It smells, your dishes always have such great aroma.
It's really, the fresh herbs are really gonna do that for you. So these are affordable. You can find them almost anywhere. They're not hard to use. So like I was saying before, the thyme, I'm just with my fingers going to pull them off. And they're small enough that I don't need to mince them like I did the others. About a teaspoon.
That's it? You just pull them off?
That's it, yeah. So that's how I'm using those fresh herbs. And again, I'm just gonna.
So this doesn't need to cook very long, because once again, you're putting it in the oven and you've already cooked the sausage.
Exactly. Yep, so apples and herbs go in the very last step. We're not really cooking more than a minute or so, just to kind of incorporate. And then the last step, like I said, I've already roasted I'm using sweet potato, and so I'm gonna add it. Go ahead and add that in.
Oh, just dump this in there.
Yeah.
I was gonna do it the other way around.
And you could, honestly, it probably doesn't matter, but this will incorporate maybe a little better. And then the other thing I would say is we're gonna put this in the oven. And if you're using an oven-safe skillet like I am here today, then you can just keep it here, right? Then you're gonna put this directly in the oven for about 30 minutes. If you don't have an oven-safe skillet, cook it like we've been doing, and then you're gonna put it into a baking dish. So I brought both so that you could see a couple of options. So I'm just gonna incorporate this. And then the only other ingredient, it is optional, but if you like your stuffing to kind of hold together a little bit more than what you see here, then you would add an egg at the very end. And so that's going to help the mixture kind of.
So be more of a stuffing, traditional bread stuffing
consistency?
consistency?
Exactly. And if you're using the egg, then it's going to need to be about 30 minutes in the oven. If you're not using the egg, we've already kind of pre-cooked this. It's only going to need about 15 minutes in the oven. also know that that's going to be different.
So if you don't use the egg, it's just going to be more like what you see here. Just
Exactly.
A little bit more, not as together.
Yep, exactly. And just because I can't really show you that whole process, I'm not going to add the egg, but this is when you would do it. You would just whisk it in a bowl together, the egg whites and the yolk, and then you would add it, not crack it on top, right? So that's what you would do. And then that's it.
That's it.
That's it. So really, I mean, this came together in about 30 minutes. It's really just a handful of ingredients. Oh, I lied. You'd add the cranberries. I almost forgot my cranberries.
Is this something you could make ahead and put in the fridge or freezer?
I think so. And then even like I prepped and roasted the veggies last night, and I don't think that's going to matter at all either. And so if you wanted to prep something the night before to make day of prep a little easier, then that's an option.
Always important. And oven space too.
Oven
So it's
space.
nice that
Exactly.
this recipe is pretty adaptable for that.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, this really is, I think, a great alternative, like we talked about, someone who needs to eliminate certain ingredients, but still wants to feel part of, the festivities. Like this would be something that would be great to bring to a family or a work gathering or something. Like that's one tip I guess I always talk about with clients who ask me this is, take control of that. Don't show up to a party empty-handed and think like there's nothing for me to eat. Bring something and know that you can at the very least eat this,
And while you're cutting a lot of stuff you don't want, you're not cutting flavor. It's going to be delicious, and you might not even miss traditional stuffing. I don't think you will. I haven't tried it yet, but
yeah, I don't think
sure
I'd
will.
miss it either. And there's variations to, lots of holiday favorites. This just seems to be one that I get asked about a lot, and so I wanted to show an alternative. So.
And you
That's
mentioned
it.
that this is paleo, right? It's
Paleo, yeah,
Paleo.
yeah, meaning so paleo, kind of going to like Paleolithic ancestors. The theory is just that we didn't have grains, and so it's not even just gluten, but someone following a paleo diet wouldn't be including any type of grain at all. So.
and I know you have a certification in that as well.
Yeah, I do. So I'm an autoimmune paleo coach. Work with a lot of people with autoimmune disease as one of my specialties. So.
Which I'm sure is very helpful for many people, as that's a
Yeah.
way that many people need to eat now.
Yeah, and it's becoming, for lots of different reasons, a lot of people are being diagnosed with autoimmune diseases. So, yep.
What else will you have on your holiday table?
So this year, I actually plan a menu for a recovery center. I think I might have mentioned on here before, I planned their holiday menu, and there's a farm that I'm affiliated with locally, and I'm going to get the turkey from the farm. I'm probably going to do this recipe, so a paleo style stuffing. We're going to do some roasted veggies. We're going to do a mashed cauliflower versus a potato. Pumpkin panna cotta, I think, is what we're doing too. So variations on some favorites, but definitely a healthier twist.
It all sounds delicious. Can we all come?
Yes, you're all invited.
Where can we get more information about you, Emily, and everything you're doing?
So probably my website is the best place, wholeessentialsnutrition.com. You can also find me on Instagram under that name. But yeah, either place is probably a good place to start.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much. Always
Yeah.
appreciate you spending time with us in our kitchen. And this looks absolutely delicious. It's going to be on my table. So
Thanks for having me.
appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back with more right after this.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Welcome back. The Park City Fine Art Gallery is one of the amazing art galleries around town, and we had the opportunity to get a quick tour. So let's take a look.
Welcome to Park City Fine Art. This artist, Pete Zaluzik, is an artist that we'd like to feature today. Pete is an artist here at the gallery that when he comes to drop work off, he'll drive from Chicago out here and he'll get here, and he used to be a mentor over at the YMCA. So he'll get here and just imagine Santa Claus and just happy, jolly, and a guy that has lived an incredible career. He used to be an architect consultant as well. And he started sculpting. A lot of his sculptures were birds and different things. He loves being outdoors, and it's from that he started photographing a lot, and he had a couple ideas to take his photographs and kind of put them together with his sculpture. And he created something that's never been created before, and it's called the Gampi. I remember the first time I ever talked to him, I was like, I want to carry your sculptures. And he's like, you can carry them, but you really need to carry my Gampis. And I was like, okay. So we actually started carrying him at the very beginning when Park City Fine Art opened. And I kind of was just like, all right, we'll just put them up. Everybody loves them. And they're so fascinating because nobody has ever seen them before. And when you come in and look at them, you're like, well, what is Gampi? And he made it up. It's a type of tissue-like paper. And he'll actually print the photo 3 different times at a small opacity so that it can actually be saturated enough to be able to see it. And it creates this amazing sculptural feeling to where you'll come in, you'll be like, is it real hair that he's putting in there? And it looks 3-dimensional. And Pete loves movement. He's a dog lover. If that says anything about him, he loves a good little puppy and whatnot. And he loves animals. He loves the story that they have. And a couple of them that I love is the running grizzly bear. There was 2 of them that were chasing each other. And the story there is so fun. Each one of them has a great story. Another one that I love is the bison. The bison is just tough and strong. And it's out there just working, getting it done. And you zoom in and you look at his hair and you're like, wow, it's like frozen. And it was negative 20 degrees or 30 degrees. And he's just out there getting it done. And just this beautiful, beautiful animal that was out there. And Pete, when he talks about it, he's like, he wasn't even complaining. He wanted to have his photo taken. So each one has this really fun story to it. Another one that I actually love is called Last Look Back. And I love this because when Pete was photographing him, there was actually 5 wolves, and they were kind of like having like a powwow, he said. And 3 of them went off one way and 2 of them went off the other way. And the 3 just kept going, and they never stopped to look back. But these other 2, they got to the ridge and they stopped and they looked back and they stood there and they just watched until they couldn't see him again. And it's such a fun piece. I love that. And Pete has a lot of ways that he connects with that, and I have my ways that I connect with that. And I think that we all do. And it's really neat to be able to connect with his work. So excited for you to come down and meet the staff that can tell you some of the stories about Pete's work and possibly collect one too. Too Wild is actually a brother and sister who have collaborated together and taken what they both are known for and put it into one. And it is so unique and phenomenal. Their father, who is also an artist, and he's also one of the artists in the stable here, he is a colorist, and he's been there with his kids. They've grown up with color. They love color and the energy that it creates. The father has a very thick palette, and so when he's painting, it's very, 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 very like thick, impasto, palatey, yummy. And the kids, they've taken that and they've created like who they are as an artist. And so Barack Rosenvein, he loves to do these mountains and just very sculptural paintings. And then the daughter is Miri. Miri is actually one of our youngest artists that we carry at the gallery. She's just 21 years old. And Miri is like such an incredible colorist, and she's phenomenal at painting animals. And so Barack and Miri have collaborated and taken what their father has taught them, what they as an artist, who they are and what they're about, and put it together and have created some really, really neat work. And you'll note they're on glass, and so they'll paint on top, they'll pour resin on top, they are painted with oil, but then they've even created these butterflies that are mounted into the frames. And so each one is very, very unique. And folks love them. When they come to the gallery, they see them. I love art that really stops people. Another thing that I love about fun sculptural art like this is that when you're designing your home and you've got painting, it's really a fun thing to take your house and almost create the whole home as its own palette, and to then have a painting, and then something that stops people and gets that conversation about art going. And it's like, wow, this is really amazing. So I encourage you to pop in, see what we have new from them and whatnot. It's great. I'd like to introduce our next artist, Dan Wilson. Dan Wilson is one of our local artists. He lives down in Lehi, Utah. And Dan he's a young artist. He's just 40 years old. And Dan, he paints like an old master and one of the most talented artists. And he's also one of the few figurative artists that we carry at the galleries. We have people come from all over, from out of state, to come and look at his work, to study it. We have a lot of artists that come and study his work and how he does it. He even is an instructor. And so he has classes at his studio and teaches people how to paint. One of his mentors, William Whitaker, was an incredible talented artist that I just love and adore. And when you look at Dan Wilson's work, he's able to capture these scenes and, in a sense, immortalize these little moments that we all connect with, whether it's us as a child or if it's as a parent or whatever it be. He also does a lot of painting for different churches. And those paintings can be up to 12 feet tall by 8 feet wide, where they'll have Christ in Gethsemane or different scenes. He's also known for a painter of light. He's able to capture light on canvas in such a unique, delicate way. And as you come and look at his work, you'll note that he has a few different styles. He has a very loose style. He has a sort of contemporary style where his brushstroke is thicker. And it is just incredible to see how tight and refined he can get, that you then compare him with great artists like Rembrandt, and you're like, wow, this is a really talented artist that really knows what he's doing. And his love and passion for the arts is in the story. And every one of his pieces has a story to tell, and the emotion behind each one of his paintings, there's so much that he puts into it that it's almost draining when he's creating that work of art and really trying to capture that moment, so that the person that's viewing it, they don't just see the image, they can actually see a story that's being told, and also capturing an emotion, an energy, and a memory. And so we encourage you to come in and see what he has here in the gallery. Slow down and just look at him and see if you can connect with his work. One of the paintings that you'll notice as you come to the gallery is look upstairs and you'll see this massive painting by artist Jeremy Salazar. Jeremy is one of our newest artists that we're showing here at the gallery, and we have just loved working with him. He's a super talented artist, and he's native, and he's able to capture the spirit of the native and able to do it in such a unique way. You look into the eyes of every one of his paintings, and there's just so much love and compassion. The other thing that I love about his work is his use of color with his palette, and the way that he's able to have something so abstract, yet it creates exactly what it needs to say. And just love his work, and really been enjoying working with him. And also the scale. I mean, there's very few artists that can paint this large. We encourage you to come in, see his work. They come and go quick, so come in and see what we got. The next artist to introduce you to here at Park City Fine Art is Helen Karen. Helen is one of the artists here at the gallery that all of us are just like, send us more, send us more. She's so talented in the way that she's able to paint in such an abstract way And when you look at her work, like if you were to just take this piece here, and I mean, it's so abstract. Then when you get to her and how she dials in the facial features, she's incredible. And for any equestrian to look at her work, it's like, wow, she's really able to capture the spirit of that horse. They can see it in the eyes, and it's just great. I mean, her work is filled with energy. Here she's capturing an amazing moment of just energy. You can just feel it. And these are great, great works to have in the home. This size is one of my favorite sizes to have, to bring to any home, to bring it into their home, and perfect above a couch or going down a hallway, transitioning into another room into the house. So we encourage you to come in and see her work and just see the pop of color and the excitement that they have. My name is Colby Larson. We'd love to invite you to come visit one of our 5 galleries on historic Main Street in Park City, Utah.
Welcome back to the show. Recently, we had the wonderful opportunity to catch up with local contemporary painter Ashley Collins, who's currently featured at the Prospect Gallery. Let's take a look.
Hello, my name is Ashley Collins. I am a contemporary painter, and I am here to welcome you to Prospect Gallery in Park City, Utah. It is so amazing. I am so honored and so blessed to be able to step into this moment here, in this place, with this team, and with you, and to be able to share this, because it is, you know, life is challenging, and here is a place where your presence and your vibration can come alive again. The time is now. Life is now. And these souls, which I have been creating for the past 30 some odd years now, they bring you straight into this moment if you have the patience and an open mind to receive the love that they give, because they are created without any prior sketches, without any prior thought process. I approach each and every panel with a listening ear, and I listen to what they wish to come out. And they take years and years now to create and breathe. And when you really experience them, you experience them in the breath inside the breath. And you remember the warrior that you are. You remember the curiosity of the child that is within you, and you remember that bravery of that child within you, and you embrace that which you are. Angels come into our lives no matter what age we are. And if your heart is open, if your heart is truly, truly open, then you have an ability to see these angels. And an angel came into my life when I was about 8, 9 years of age, and this angel came in the form of a horse, and this horse taught me to never, ever, ever give up. He taught me that, Ashley, you are a warrior, you have a purpose, never give up. We all have been thrown under the bus, each and every one of us. The other thing is that we are all warriors, and we are all born warriors. So few of us actually really leap into this moment, into the now. I am inviting you to do is to come, because these souls that have been created on their own have a vibration that brings that child warrior out. I've seen it over and over and over. There's a truth behind them, there's a voice, and it is amazing to see how they actually move people, sometimes to tears, and sometimes to uplift them and to heal. And for the last 33 years, I have witnessed this. I am just the catalyst for these entities to come forth. And I am their voice that you can hear. But when you are in their presence, you will feel it, you will know it, and you will be transformed.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Thank you so much for tuning in to our special 1-hour edition on Saturdays for Wasatch Weekends. I'm your host, Ben Roof. Don't forget to catch us tomorrow, where we're going to be talking to digital creator Joshua Goovy, and we're going to have Leap Academy stop by to help us improve our job skills. Until tomorrow, I'm Ben Roof, and we will see you next time.